Harry, this is Geordie Prepper, and welcome to another Prepper's Perspective. I have a special guest today, Robster, aka Eggmeister on Steam It and DTube. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hi, Geordie. Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here.
And I've noticed you commenting on my channel and my posts, and that's how I really found you. And you're on Steam It and DTube. Is there any places that you also were or are at the minute?
I was on Facebook for a while. Wasn't doing me any good, to be honest. So the only real place you'll find me at the moment is YouTube, Team Egg Motor, really, the old paragliding stuff, and a little bit of more recent bushcrafty type videos.
So have you fell into bushcraft and prepping, or was it something you've always been interested in? Like, did you do prepping and bushcrafting when you were a kid, or is this like a new thing that you've discovered?
It is relatively new, to be honest. A few years ago, I was on YouTube, and I was just watching some stuff on 9/11, and on the right-hand side with the recommended, I saw stuff that I'd never really considered before, and I just started watching a few of these videos, and I just seemed to end up going down this whole new rabbit hole of the world and how I saw it, and I thought, well, this looks interesting. I'll follow this down, and it's come to a point now where I don't want to feel like I'm reliant on the state all the time. I want to be able to look after myself and my family, and bushcraft and self-reliance is a big part of that. So I've kind of naturally transitioned to the way I was to this lifestyle now.
And how has it changed over the years, the information that you've been looking at, and has there been anything that is hard to find now? How do you see censorship as... How's that played a part?
I've not found it. I mean, for all its problems, YouTube, I've found it a really great resource for stuff. I've not really found the censorship on the stuff I want to watch a big problem. This is plenty of info out there on bushcraft and how other people see the world compared to how the world is portrayed in the mass media. And so from that point of view, I don't find censorship too bad. A lot of the people I do follow on YouTube do talk about it a lot, and obviously they're suffering quite a bit. But there's still a great wealth of info out there, and I've found it a real boon to getting me to the point where I am now.
And what about these new platforms that are coming up because of Facebook and YouTube censorship? How much more are you finding yourself on those sorts of sites? Like, I see that you're on DTube and Steam It, and how's the interaction and the information there compare?
Well, I've been on Steam It now since I think May last year, and it's very open. I don't seem to find any censorship. Everybody can talk pretty much about what they want. And DTube, I've only really, although I've been aware of it for a little while, I've only started getting onto DTube since I received the email, which so many people have done, from YouTube saying that because I didn't fit certain criteria, that all of my videos demonetized. So I saw that as a bit of a kick in the nuts, and I thought, well, I'll jump. I'm already on Steam It. I'll jump straight into DTube. So already I've put a few little videos on DTube, and I'm seem to finding it all pretty good, really.
So what do you see as the most immediate threats to society, and what can you do about it yourself, and what do you think other people should do about it?
Without trying to sound too paranoid, I do think we are heading into another grand solar minimum, so I tend to see that there'll be at least some degree of a mini ice age. When you look at the historical evidence, we've had the Dalton minimum and the Maunder minimum, and it seems to be on these repeating cycles. In my opinion, it's going to happen again. So we're going to see food shortages, possible starvation, and maybe even mass migrations. So being able to grow your own food could be quite a vital skill and knowledge to have in the coming years. On top of that, I think these debt-based economies throughout the world possibly going to collapse as well. I just want to be able to offset all that with a bit of knowledge and skills I can build up now while the resources are still there. Systems are still in place to provide that for me. so I can better prepare myself to get through these, what I believe are, possible scenarios in the not too distant future.
Do you think the current resources are being mismanaged? Do you think all this hype about, the world running out of food and water, and is that just mismanagement, or is there truth in that?
I think there is a lot of mismanagement. I follow David Devine at Adapt 2030, and he talks about all the historical and scientific evidence pointing towards a mini ice age, and he does more and more now. He's showing lots of news items around the world of all these food shortages because of extreme weather events. So management's going to have to play a part in that. But something as simple as growing your own vegetables, a lot of us could mitigate these problems that are down the road.
So what particular area are you concentrating in? Is it the growing the food, or is there any particular area you're looking at? I mean, does your paragliding play any role in this? Or are you going to just fly off on a paraglider to your bug out location? Or
it would be nice if I could fit in with the SES Survival Guidebook and maybe a bottle of water that I could squeeze a paraglider in there. But it's quite a bulky item, so it's unfortunately it's not something I'm going to be able to do as much as it would be nice to. But what I have been doing is I've been stockpiling upon seeds and the knowledge how to grow vegetables. Even when we cook some butternut squash soup, I'm drying the seeds out and I'm saving them. I'm sticking them in paper envelopes and putting date and what they are and roughly how many are in. I'm just putting things to one side that you hope you'll never need, but it's going to be there anyway. For example, in my mother's house, she has a compost in the back garden, and it's been neglected. Now she must have put some potatoes in there in 2016, and the lid on the compost wasn't on properly. And all last year, I noticed all these plants growing out of the composter, and it turned out to be, I did a bit of digging, it turned out to be potato vines. So I thought, well, I'll just let them grow, see what happens. And they grew little like green tomatoes, the seed pods. And when I've looked into it, potato plants don't often produce these seed pods. So when they were ready, which is difficult to tell because they always stay green really, I just harvested all these potato pods and processed them down. And I've got hundreds of potato seeds. And obviously the potato seeds will store long term and a great source of carbohydrates. But your normal veggie growers will store seed potatoes, which are potatoes you'll keep that will last to the following growing season, but they won't store long term. So I took this opportunity, these little green tomato-like seed pods of these potato vines. I took it as an opportunity, right, I can save these, I'll process them down, bag them up, and they're there. Because I think carbs are going to be in very short supply. If we suddenly had food shortages, potatoes are a good source of carbohydrates. I'm not saying I'll be able to grow them very well. I might have problems. A lot of the seeds might not germinate, but at least I've made steps to some degree where I can try to offset whatever it might be coming down the road.
Yeah, and of course you might come across someone who does know how to grow them, and it could be like a mutually beneficial agreement that you have the seeds and they grow them and you help them out in other ways.
Exactly, and it's one of the things I'm kind of lacking really is the community side of the prepping community. I know you spoke to Prepper Rabbit. You talked about community being so important, and it's one part I need to build on really, because I am, apart from getting the wife involved, which she doesn't seem particularly keen, I am a bit of a lone wolf really, and that's not really going to be good long term. I know that. Even though I'm in bravado on a lot of my old YouTube videos, I'm quite a shy person, and I do see a lot of other preppers, UK preppers, and I do enjoy watching what they do. But I do need to man up, basically. I need to grow some balls and start interacting more with these people.
You can often have like a better discussion in real life than what you can online, so it is something that I personally myself I need to improve on as well. So
yeah, it's something we need to do really, to be honest, because we can't be a jack of all trades, really. When things get tight, we need people with certain skill sets to help everybody else out.
And building communities on that front, we see a lot of decentralized platforms rising up and coming up because of censorship. Do you think decentralization blockchains have a future? Is it something that's going to actually help mankind, or is it something that is just going to be blocked and censored as well?
Yeah, I think it has the potential to go very far. A lot of people seem to be waking up and they feel like they're wanting this ability to be heard. And I won't be surprised if the powers that be realise the power that a lot more people like us are starting to gain, and they'll somehow find ways to shut us down slowly. But I think the potential is there if we can nurture it correctly and keep these powers that be at bay. Then I think it'll be good for everybody, really. I mean, I'm enjoying being on Steam. I had a bit of a hiatus, but I've built myself back up again now. I'm trying to be as sparing with my time for other people as I am for my own posts and what I'm doing. I'm trying not to be too selfish if I can, and help other people gain their voice on these platforms. The larger the wave we can create, the more difficult it is for people to shut us down. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway.
Because take DTube, for example, I mean, that has seen a massive influx of users, and since the recent update to it, I mean, when I'm uploading videos, there's a queue, and there never used to be, and it's a really good sign. I mean, I actually think it's a good sign that there's a queue, and I don't mind waiting in the queue for my video to get up there, because I know that I'm putting it up there in the first instance because I know it's not going to get censored by the platform that it's on. I mean, obviously people can disagree with it and they can flag it if they want, but they could put a thumbs down. But I'm not worried anymore about the a controlling body that owns it, that they're going to do it and effectively dictate what people see and what they don't see. So I think myself that decentralization and the blockchain has a really good potential, as long as the people who are using it, see it for what it is, which is a protection from the powers that shouldn't be, and censorship.
Yeah, I mean, my first test video on YouTube last week, it uploaded immediately, swimmingly, no problems. And then the follow-on ones, I've had to wait in a queue. One of the queues was over 1,100. I was in the queue 1,100 plus, so and I think my uploader crashed. So I had to abandon that one and try again. But as to the blockchain technology, I think there's a lot of good stuff in there, but I follow the likes of Bix Weir, Road to Router, and he's really pro blockchain and all these cryptos, and it seems to make a lot of sense. But then the other side, I also on YouTube also follow Truth Never Told. I think it's Chris Duane, and he's very silver orientated, and I can understand his point of view. It's unless you hold it in your hand, you don't own it, and he's very anti-crypto, and he also makes a very good argument. I mean, this BitConnect thing that's just collapsed, it seems to be a Ponzi scheme, and one of his latest videos is talking about the collapse of BitConnect and how it seems it was a blatant Ponzi scheme. And I don't think the likes of Steemit and other formats on the blockchain don't really seem to fit into that. But I'm trying to keep an open perspective from both sides of the pond. So I am putting a lot of time and effort into Steemit, because I think it's got a very credible future. But always in the back of my mind, I'm always wondering what if. And so I do own a little bit of silver, and I've held it since summertime last year, a few ounces of silver. It's very good as an industrial metal. It's used and abused. And again, what Chris Duane says, the gold-silver ratio is something like 8-1. But actual silver above ground is something like, I can't exactly remember what, it's like 4 or 5-1. So silver is very highly undervalued. It's an important industrial metal, and he and many others think that silver at some point is going to realise its true value. So yes, I'm putting a lot of effort in building up the Steemit community and my own Steam, but I've also got a little bit of silver as well, just in case. Because I mean, a lot of it's my mother's silver as well, because I didn't like her having no interest paid at all in the bank account. I thought, well, she was happy with it. I put a little bit of her savings into silver, and I put a little bit of mine into silver as well. So diversification a little bit of crypto, a little bit of silver, and just see and watch what happens.
So the old adage, don't keep your eggs all in one basket, is something that you're doing practically, and you're diversifying your wealth.
Yeah, but again, something a few years ago, I would never even considered this. You just naturally stick your money in the bank and you forget about it. Whatever interest rate you get, that's it, and everyone just plods on with their lives. But I see the world in a completely different way now, and I really need to think about my future and my family's future.
Do you think you're better protected for finding prepping? Has it been something which, if you'd never came across it at all, would your life be better, or would you think it would be worse if you could look at yourself in like an alternative reality? And you never...
I'm glad I've gone down the rabbit hole. There's a lot more questions than answers now, and it's a never-ending rabbit hole. But I feel a better person. I'm glad I've done it. Yes, I've always got worries and concerns in the back of my mind, but I feel I'm better prepared. Just in case anything does happen, I've got a little bit of food tucked away. Not much, a little bit of water tucked away. And which is something I did in the very early days. I thought, right, I need to stockpile now. I need to get everything. So I must have at least half a dozen SES survival guides dotted around the house, these little pocket books. It's the best £4.50 on eBay you're ever going to spend, really. Lofty Wiseman's SES survival guide. So a little bit of food, a little bit of water. But you soon start to realise this does not work long time. You've got to think beyond what you've got stored in the cupboard. And so I do spend a lot of time on YouTube, but I'm not just watching fluffy kittens and people falling over all the time. I'm learning ways, improve foraging skills, what food you can and can't eat, the medicinal properties of what nature provides. So if I was Sunday out there in the middle of nowhere, I know I can eat hawthorn leaves, beech tree leaves, dandelion, plantain, just a few little items that might just get me by until I can find more sustenance, really, is what I'm trying to say. And just having that little bit of knowledge, probably 1% of what Ray Mears knows, will hopefully put me in good stead that I can provide for me and my family and not be so reliant on the just-in-time delivery service at Asda and things like that. I don't have to suddenly go in a panic buy when the price of fuel suddenly skyrockets or the petrol stations shut down, close up. I don't have to go running out like everybody else, like mad chickens and headless chickens, and start trying to gather all this stuff in. I can sit back, relax, say, right, I've got this stuff here, and feed my family, basically.
So where do you see yourself in a few years' time regards Steemit and your prepping? Where do you want to take where's the next step in the prepping, your preparedness going to take you?
I'd like to be able to start properly growing vegetables, really. Where I live, it's just all concrete. I'm very lacking in the application side of what I've learned. It's all in my head, but I need to be able to practice it successfully. And even just getting a few tubs and sticking some beans in and maybe some potatoes, that's along with the community side of things. That's another point where I'm lacking, is just the practicalities of growing vegetables. I'm a bit of a pyromaniac, so I think I've got all the fire starting bases covered, really. I do love fire. As a child, I love fire, but on the points of the next stages for me, it's getting to grips with getting my hands dirty, planting some seeds and see what works and what doesn't work. Because no matter how much you watch YouTube videos and think you know something, unless you do it, it's virtually worthless, really. So I need to get to that side of the bushcraft and self-reliance side.
Are you going to take us along on your journey through your prepping on DTube?
I'm hoping to. I told my daughter just before Christmas says that next year I'm gonna get some seeds, and me and you we're gonna learn how to grow some green beans, because I've grown green beans at my mother's house for a few years. Unfortunately, she's got dementia, so she was such a garden lover, and I've had to take over a little bit of that. But she loves a green bean, so I've grown green beans. But it'd be interesting if I could just take a sample of these potato seeds I've got and grow some potatoes and some other root vegetables and things like that. So hopefully I can really get my daughter involved, and we can probably do this journey together and chronicle that journey on platforms such as DTube, and show the goods and the bads of what we're trying to do, really.
Do you think younger people really have lost touch with nature? We see them buried in their phones and talking online more than they talk to people face to face. So how are they really going to cope in any sort of situation that means that they do have to get their hands dirty? I mean, are they just going to be completely lost, or they're going to be completely reliant on other people? What would you say to anyone who is growing up now about the outdoors and self-reliance? Would it be something you encourage them to at least look at?
I would encourage it, but I seem to think the technology now, it's so attractive to children. It's going to be very difficult to prize them away and get them outdoors and just go for a walk in the woods with their parents, and trying to get the parents involved as well. It's a very laid-back society now. Everything's, in a way, it's given to us, isn't it? Media, television, even get your food delivered to your house now. We don't have to do a lot for the lifestyle we lead. And if something was to happen, a lot of people are going to be lost. They're going to freeze up. They're not going to know what to do. And maybe for some of them, there'll be some instinctual thing will kick in and they'll say, right, I need to do something now. But I fear a lot of people are just going to seize up and expect help to come from whatever quarter, whether it's a state or friends. There will be mass panic. And if only parents could get the kids out now, put down the phones, turn off the computer, turn off the telly, go outside and observe nature. Don't just walk through it. Observe it. See what's around you. I sometimes, with my daughter, I'll give her a little task to do. I'll say, right, while I go through these woods and these meadows, can you find 5 edibles? And we'll walk through, and she said, oh, there's that there, and so and so. And we'll just make it a bit more entertaining rather than saying, right, I'm going to go for a walk in the woods, and that just be the end of it. And the kids kick up a stink. If you try and engage with them more and make it into a fun quiz, a challenge, then they'll probably take to it a little better. But in general terms, kids, as soon as they can talk, they've got a phone and a tablet in the face. And I must admit, my daughter's a bit the same, but I'm trying to really tail that back a bit. We don't allow her to go on any tech after tea time, because we were finding she was getting so excited or engrossed in what she was watching when it came to bedtime. She wouldn't go to sleep. She's saying she's seeing things and she's hearing things, and she didn't like what she'd seen. And we'd tell her, right, no more tech, and we'd say no tech for a week, and then we'd give in to her, and then no doubt we'd be back where we started again. So we've said now there's no more tech after tea time, and so far it's proven to be quite good. And she's quite into bushcraft. I did get a little bug out bag for her one Christmas, with some basics in, and we say we go to the woods. Oh, can I take my bug out bag with me? And she carries it around. It's very rare we actually open it and have a delve inside, but occasionally I'll say, right, let's have a go through what's in your bag. And she just seemed to get excited with that. We did do a bushcraft video either last year before together, and she put it on her YouTube channel. She's only got the one video on. It was something she wanted to do, and it was a bit daft, but she enjoyed doing it. So if you can make children enjoy and not see it as a chore to go out into the woods and really engage with them and make it entertaining as a parent, then the children are going to feed off that, and hopefully they'll learn a little, if not a lot, and it might put them in good stead.
Do you think that the social media is influencing children too much? Because we basically see social media is telling what's right to say, what's not to say, what's right to act and not to act. Essentially, the job that which is a parental job. So, do you think this is something that's happening? Is social media trying to effectively replace parents these days because it has so much of their time?
Yeah, I do know of parents who will happily let the child sit with a tablet or the TV on, and then they don't have to be the parent. For those few hours, they can do their own thing. Whether you think that's selfish parenting or not, it's probably not for me to say. But personally, I would feel extremely guilty doing that. That it's like a cop out to being a parent, really. I'm guilty to some degree, again, with letting my daughter use a tech. But I mean, there's a lot of fake celebrities now. These nobodies who built up these massive careers, and they're plastered all over the social media and all over the mainstream media all the time. And all these impressionable little kids looking up to them, thinking, "I want to be that person. I want to do that." And it's just flashing big red flags everywhere to me. How we're allowing this slowly to build and to happen, and all these children are being brainwashed into thinking, I need to grow up to be a pop star, I need to grow up to be a model, and not looking at true skills and true values that would have been in existence 100, 200 years ago, I suppose. Family values and things like that. A lot of it seems to be disappearing, and I do fear that it's only going to get worse. I really hope parents, adults can wake up and see what's happening, but it could well be too little too late, to be honest.
So to sum up, what do you think is the best thing about prepping, and what do you think is the negative aspect to it as well?
Well, me personally, being a pyromaniac, I just love starting fires left, right and centre by all different means. But on a serious note, though, it's that little bit of confidence and knowledge at the back of the mind that you can be at one with nature, at one with the world, and know that you've got the knowledge and the skill set to carry yourself through anything that might happen. I mean, you look back throughout history, so many events have happened globally: earthquakes, volcanoes, weird weather, and somehow we've always managed to pull through it. And I'd like to think that I can pull through that too. On the negative side, it's probably the same for most people. A lot of the friends and family just think you're a nutcase. Why are you not relying on the state? The government will be there for you if something happens. So why even bothering sticking these tins in the cupboard and a few bottles of water under the stairs? Why are you doing it? There's absolutely no point to it. And with some of my friends, I had that initial response. But one or two of them, I've noticed that they'll just bring out the odd question. What do you think about this? And what do you think about what Putin said? And I think they're starting to come round to some degree, but they don't want to admit it to themselves or to me that they are having a change of mind on the world view. So I can understand why a lot of people do remain quiet, because there's a lot of stigma involved around being a prepper.
Do you think that stigma is something that's broken, or do you think it's still something that's very much existent?
I personally still think it exists quite a lot. I talk about it a little bit with my close friends occasionally. I don't make a point of talking about it, and yet the people I only more of just like a passing acquaintance with, people on the way to school, the parents on the way to school. I would never say anything about it, because before they get to know me, they've already labelled me as a nut job. So yeah, I still think it's quite a bit of a stigma, to be honest.
So if anybody's just been starting out on their journey to preparedness and, they're not a prepper right now, but they're considering looking into all this sort of stuff, would you really recommend it, or is there any cautions that you can give people?
Yeah, I'd definitely get into it. I mean, don't do what I did and probably a lot of people do and just spend an absolute fortune on stockpiling stuff. Put a little bit of stuff to one side, of course, but build up your skill set and your knowledge on basic bushcraft skills, foraging for food. The amount of food, especially in the UK, with the climate we've got, the amount of food that's out there just waiting to be picked up and maybe with a bit of processing, eaten. There's plenty of food out there. So you don't have to stockpile loads of stuff. Just build some knowledge. I mean, I've been doing this, getting into this now for I don't know, 3-4 years, and every day I'm learning something new. I'll never stop learning. But I hope I'm at a stage where I've got sufficient skills and knowledge that I can get myself through anything that might happen. So yeah, don't think you have to spend a absolute fortune in the early days, because you don't. A couple of books, a little bit of food, a little bit of water, and just gradually build yourself into it and build your confidence up. Probably not tell everybody outright you're a prepper. I mean, we all are a prepper to a certain degree. We all have a few tins of beans in the cupboard. We don't buy things just to last for a few hours. We buy for a few days ahead usually. So yeah, you don't have to go large scale. Keep it small scale. Not a lot of money. You'll feel a lot better in yourself that you can provide for yourself once you built up this knowledge.
That's something that I'm really appreciative for prepping, that I've discovered it, is that I've gained a lot of confidence and basic security in prepping and what prepping has given me, and I'm really liking trying to give something back to the community. So I hope that somebody has found something in this episode useful. Thank you very much to Robster, my special guest today.
I greatly appreciate the opportunity that Geordie Prepper has given me to say what I've had to say, and thank you very much.
Cheers, man. So this has been Geordie Prepper. This has been Prepper's Perspective. Be safe and be prepared, everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode.